What is up, you crafters enthusiasts, gardeners, and DIYers? Today I'll be building a raised garden bed out of pallet and scrap wood. So if this sounds like something that you'll be interested in, you clicked on the right channel. For I'll show you how I built this raised garden bed step by step. So tune in as I show you how I did it. Alright guys, what we're about to be doing here is taking the pieces of the board apart of the pallet. You would want to take care on not to break any of these because you're going to use the whole pallet, guys. So what I'm doing here is using a piece of 2x4 to pry it open. It's a method I've found out to be easier to use, for it brings up the nail pallet strips easier. So I'm going to just speed this video up a little because basically that's what I'm doing. I'm just stripping the pallet. So we're going to do that. Just strip the pallet. All the pieces of the pallet, guys, we're going to use. I'm getting my trusty hammer. Now guys, once you get those pallets stripped, the nail is going to still be inside those strips. So what I'm doing now is just knocking out those nails. You could use a crowbar, you could use a hammer. I'm using between a mini crowbar and a hammer to get those nails out easier and quicker. So remember guys, you could take all those nails out after you strip the pallet. And after you strip, you're going to separate those pieces. I'm using 3 long pieces. That's my 3 pieces from out of my 1 pallet. But from here I got 3 long pieces, another set of 3 long pieces of the pallet, and I'm going to measure this in half, and this is going to be my side pieces, the width of my pallet. The long pieces is going to be the length, and the short pieces is going to be the width. I'm not putting any measurements up because it's basically I'm basically showing you how you could build pallets, how you could build a raised bed out of pallet. You could use your own measurements. You might want a very deep bed. You might want a very shallow bed. It's up to you. So I didn't put the measurements in this, guys. If you would like to have the measurements, just let me know in the comments below and I will give you the measurements. Right now I'm cutting the boards in half. I'm using a table saw to cut it in half. Guys, if you don't have these equipments, these power tools, you could also use the manual way, the hand tools. I do have a hand saw that I use from time to time. So you would have 6 pieces of the long and 6 pieces of the short, which will be your width and your length. Here's my 6 pieces of the long. This was holding the board together, the pallet together. I'm also going to use that part. Remember guys, we're using all the parts of the pallet. So I'm going to use this part to use as the brace to nail or screw the pieces together. So I'm going to measure this, and I will be cutting this up in 4 pieces. That will make 4 corners.
what I did is I took 3 boards, put them together, and I just measure it so it could be an even length of the sides, and I was able to get 4 pieces out of this one part of the pilot. I'm not using any levels or T's or squares. I'm actually just eye leveling them, but you can use those things if you want to have a perfect bed. I'm just cutting these pieces out that I measured for my side pieces. Now that I measured those pieces off, I'm now drilling the ends together. Be very careful with those drill guys. I'm used to using power tools, but I know safety is first. But don't do what I do unless you're very good at the power tools. Please use protective gears. What I'm doing now, those the 2x4 it came with the pilot. I'm now connecting my short end of the pilot onto that 2x4 that I cut to make it the sides, to mend the sides together. So I'm starting with my first 3 short ends, which is my width. Speed that up for you guys. And that's the width of one. Now going to put together the length. These are the long pieces, 3 long pieces. As you can see how I used the 2x4, what I cut up to use as the side brace to drill everything together. I'm a little out of focus here, guys. I do apologize for that. You could use screws or you could use nails. So I was a little pressed for time, so to be a little quicker, I used screws. You would want to try and get all those pieces level so you won't have a crooked bed. Like I said, you could use a square, you could use a level. But I think I did pretty well with just eyeballing it. Now that I got all the pieces together, for this pilot I had a piece of scrap plywood, and I decided to use piece of plywood for the bottom. Now if you want your pilot to have a bottom, you could, if you want your raised bed to have a bottom, you could also get another piece of pilot and use that as a bottom, or you could get piece of plywood if you have it lying around and use as a bottom. Or like some of my beds don't have a bottom, so what I did is I took a piece of the plywood and measure a section that I need for the bottom, and I'm now cutting it off. Guys, you could use any scrap piece of wood, plywood, lumber that you might have lying around to build your bed without having to go to the store and buy anything. Now I'm just going to nail the bottom part in. Speed that up for you guys. Like I said, this was scrap plywood that I found, so it didn't cover the whole length of the board of the bed. So I took another piece and just mend that together. It doesn't matter if you have those gaps or pieces to the bottom. You would want that for drainage, but I'm going to drill holes anyway to the bottom of this bed so we could have good drainage for your plant. So it's just a little piece that I needed. I'm now measuring. Then I'm going to cut that and put that in that little gap to the bottom. Cutting that little section. Okay. Got that little section put in. And now I'm taking the bed off. This is a raised bed, so I'm going to put legs on it. You don't have to put legs on your beds if you don't want to. Remember, these beds are for your liking and you just want to build a few raised beds. But this particular one, I'm going to put legs on it. So I used a piece of 2x4 also that was lying around. I cut 4 pieces. The height of this bed was basically, I would say, 2 feet high in total. You could build it a little higher if you don't want to be doing all that bending, or you could build it a little lower. It all depends on you. I'm just putting in as I cut the 2x4s to my desired length and into 4 pieces. And now I'm nailing them, just nailing them on the side. You could brace them the best way you feel fit, but this is the way I want to brace it. So speeding up that process for you a little. And this is how you could build a raised garden bed in less than 30 minutes, guys. In less than 30 minutes. And here is the finished product. Like I said, I'm going to be drilling some holes to the bottom. And then I'm going to line it with gardening liner. I think that's what you call it. And that's it. That's the finished product, guys. A raised garden bed built out of pallet and scrap wood. Remember, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe at the end of this video.